When I was at my lowest point, one of my best mates was like, if you believe, you will achieve. I did start to believe in myself, and then that's when I pulled the deadlift record for the first time. And in a year's time, you're going to look back on life and be like, why the fuck was I this low?
Yeah, why was I so scared?
Why was I so down? Why was everything such a big deal? In this sport, if you can get 1% out of anything, then you've got to try. The nutrition for me is the next point that I need to really start pushing, because I need to squeeze every little bit I can out of everything.
Especially if you've got Rebecca Roberts matching your points.
You've got to try and find that extra bit. Especially with work and shifts and stuff, like it's difficult to always fit in food consistently, and especially the right sorts of food. It depends what's available to you at the time, so it is something that I'm beginning to become more aware of.
So did you know you wanted to join the police at an early age?
No, I never wanted to join the police.
Really?
No, I wanted to be a PE teacher, and I did. I worked in a school for ages, for about 4 years, I think it was. Loved it, but it just got to a point where I was just like, I don't know if it's for me. I didn't know what else I wanted to do with my life. Randomly saw that the Met were recruiting and just was like, yeah, I'll do that. 2 months later, I had like a start date. I was like, really, what have I done? Probably the best decision I made. I love being a police officer. It's different, it's challenging, it's rewarding.
Yeah.
It can be really hard, it can be very stressful, and some of the stuff that you deal with cannot be very nice, but at the same time, you could literally be there making a difference to someone's life. You could be the reason that they're still here today. You can never get over that.
Lucy.
Hello.
And I'm going to call you Lucy Underdown.
Thank you.
We've just had this chat, how everyone calls her, we won't say with the other part what we said, but no, everyone calls her Underwood, but it's not Underwood. But no, Lucy, thanks for coming over. I know it's been a bit of a trek for you this morning, and
it's been a long old drive, but you're going to make it worth my while. Maidstone.
I'm thinking that tunnel. What's the tunnel?
Dartford Tunnel.
Dartford Tunnel, that's the one. Yeah. But no, I really appreciate you coming on. We keep in contact quite a lot anyway, and I like to, follow your journey. And I've actually seen you come from,
literally
I'd
nothing.
say from the start, right?
Yeah. Literally when I first
started.
You were born. Pretty much when I first
Flourished.
emerged as a strong woman.
I was like, look at this, and then all of a sudden you're now on the stage and I have to look at you anyway. But no, it's amazing to have you here. Just tell us first of all, because obviously, as the listeners know and as you know, like this is all about mindset, right? But at the same time, I'd hate to not mention who you are to people. And actually, I pulled deadlift yesterday, getting back into it, and I pulled 300. So we can relate on that. It's a bit embarrassing for me to admit. But yeah, so just tell everyone who you are. Like, let's just flash through it quickly, then I'll dig into bits afterwards.
So I am the first female ever to pull 700 pounds or 318 kilos. We put it to at Giants Live. So 318 kilos. I'm the first woman to do that. I've just come second or joint first, if you want to go by points, at Worlds. But I was second. It was awful. But I've just come second at Worlds. I'm Europe's strongest woman, and I think that's about it, actually. Yeah, deadlift Europe.
You're forgetting that you're a police.
Oh, and I'm a police officer. Oh my God, I've got so many hats.
Which one do you put on?
Yeah, exactly.
No, cool. Just to say as well, I was there at your latest deadlift. What was it in kilo again?
318, yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we thought 317 kilos, or 317 and a half is what everybody says is 700 pounds, but it works out as 699 point
really?
Something, and we was like, I want it to be 700. And we all know that somebody out there would be like, oh, that's technically not 700, so that's what I wanted.
There is always someone out there.
Yeah.
No, but I was there, and I was literally like, I don't want to say I pissed my pants, but I was like close. It was amazing. It was insane.
It was insane. It was one of those moments you just want to bottle up and be able to like let everybody else experience.
Yeah, no.
Amazing.
Yeah, I can understand it. Yeah, and as well, I like to admit that I've been to many of your shows where you've been, I love Rebecca. She is. Do you know what I mean? Like that whole battle that you two have. Like don't want her to hear this and think I don't think she's as good as you, but I always favour that I want you to win. I think that's I've known you longer, and it's the English, right?
It's been such an intense battle this year, I think, as well.
I love it,
so
though, what you two have.
it's so good to have that, and it's helping the sport to grow, and we can't really ask for anything more. It's so exciting. Like every single competition that we've done this year, it's been between us two, and you couldn't like write that. So
no, it's as if you faked it all the way.
It's almost,
look
yeah.
It's like
every time
you two putting this on.
Yeah, every time we get to the last event of each competition, it's like we're on the same points, and it's down to that last event. So
Europe's as well. Obviously, I was competing there.
Yeah,
half completed.
No, you were there. I saw you pass out.
I was all right, yeah. But obviously in John's as well, yeah. But those moments though, it's just like I just love it, man. It's like when you're like you think you're doing it for them.
Yeah, you do. It is. I think it's been one of those things I've had to really get used to this year.
Yeah, it's
like I've always felt like I've been a bit more of the underdog, and now all of a sudden it's like actually I'm that person at the top, and I think I've got to learn to believe it. I think sometimes Rebecca gets me on that edge. Her belief in herself and that drive, she has that edge over me. I definitely.
Well, we'll dig into that because I know where that's going, and I also, knowing you more personally than knowing her, I can get why you're saying that. Yeah, but it's interesting. We'll dig into that. Just for a minute though, whilst we're talking about this stuff, what does it feel like for you, transitioning from, let's just say, a police officer, to generally, now being the biggest girl to be known of what you do?
Yeah, it's been difficult to grasp for me, really. Like I'll go one day, I'll be at work, and then the next day I'll be at a massive competition. Like at work, people don't want to see me at their door. People don't want to talk to me. They generally aren't very nice to you. And then all of a sudden I go into a different thing where I'm doing my strongwoman stuff, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, can I have a picture with you?" And it's really hard to find a balance between the two. It's difficult to transition, but it's also been quite a natural thing for me because I always used training and stuff as a wind down from the police. So I only ever really went to the gym when I joined the police. So I used to train a lot before that because I used to be a discus thrower, but I used to train.
Oh, of course you did.
Yeah, so I used to I used to do discus and shot put. So I used to lift a lot before, but when I joined the police, I gave that up and carried on the gym because that was my outlet for the police. So I never expected the strong woman to go anywhere. It was kind of just like a side hustle. I'll just do it to get all of this stress out and just let a little bit of steam off, and all of a sudden it's like a hobby that's got out of control. It's crazy.
And as well, I guess that's been nice to transition like that rather than going, I'm going to be this, and putting all that pressure on yourself, because again, it's something we'll speak about in a bit. That might have been gone different.
Definitely. It's been. I've had quite a slow rise in it, which has been nice, but I still think there's also been quite a lot of expectation behind me from quite an early stage.
Yeah.
So I think, but maybe that's something I put on myself. So yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's been a good ride. Yeah. It's been a good.
You know
ride.
what though? For me to add to that from an outsider, I think you have had pressure, and I think that's because you put yourself in such a powerful place. Do you know what I mean? You've shown that you were there, but I've also had that myself where you've done so well in a show, you go to the next show and everyone's like, he's going to do well, and it's like, fuck, I've now got to
I've got to actually perform now. And it's like I think I literally started Strong Woman. I think I did like 2 competitions, and then I came second at Brits behind Andrea Thompson, and you're like, I came like nobody knew who I was, and literally the only person that I used to really follow me was Chloe Brennan, and she used to pester me to get into Strong Woman, and she kept messaging, and I was like, oh, no way, it's not really for me. I've competed all my life. Did the first competition, and then all of a sudden I'm at Brits and coming second, and you're like, I think that kind of set the standard for me quite early on. So it was like, after that I felt like I couldn't really drop back down. I had to kind of maintain, and it's
got to keep pushing.
It has been wild.
Yeah. And obviously a question that, and I will openly say this, when I spoke to Chloe, a question that I got slated for, that I'm going to ask you as well, because it's acceptable in our sport. So did you see where someone tried to, and I'll say it openly, honestly, someone tried to badmouth the fact that I asked Chloe how heavy she was and why she was moving up and down.
Yeah.
And obviously, just to make that clear for anyone listening, it's a very obvious thing in our sport because you are in a weight category.
Yeah.
If you look at judo,
taekwondo,
all the weight categories. So you know what, asking that question is perfectly fine.
Yes.
But you know, for you, what weight have you always sat around? Because could you have gone into a weight category?
When I very first started, I was about 85 kilos, so I was always just above the weight category options. I never looked at competing in a weight category. I think I knew it would be very hard for me. I'm just
You're
6 foot tall.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And I've lifted for a long time, so my muscle mass was already quite high, and I think it would have been really hard for me to maintain that. So, I think, to be honest, now I think the 82 category in the women's is one of the toughest categories is going. And you can't knock the strength and stuff. Most of them can compete in the open weights, no problem. I think that's going to be proven at Rogue at the Arnold's next year. So, but for me, it was just never going to be a plausible option. It was just kind of like, you're just going to have to go with the big guns and just see how you get on, and it's kind of sink or swim. To
be fair, it's similar when I went from 90s to 105s. I naturally grew to up 105 once I allowed myself. I don't want to go any further, if I'm honest, because that would be me pushing further. But you've obviously just found that you just perfectly sit there, haven't you?
So I generally sit, I think I was 85 kilos when I first started this sport. I'm now about 110, 150. I vary between 110 and 115.
And do you monitor that, or are you more about just performance and how you move and stuff?
I never used to monitor it. I'm just starting to pay more attention to it now. So this year was the first year that I used a nutritionist, and then I wasn't very good at sticking to it, but I did really notice a difference. So that's something I'm going to implement a little bit more. It's more fueling for me, because especially with work and shifts and stuff, it's difficult to always fit in food consistently, and especially the right sorts of food. It depends what's available to you at the time. So it is something that I'm beginning to become more aware of, because in this sport, if you can get 1% out of anything, then you've got to try. So like, the nutrition for me is the next point that I need to really start pushing, because I need to squeeze every little bit I can out of everything.
Especially if you've got Rebecca Roberts matching your points.
You've got to try and find that extra bit.
Whatever it is. No, cool. But no, you're, I will say, like, to wrap up on that, your journey's been amazing so far. I do love to watch it.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll always support you. I always try and send you love when I can. But so let's look at, like, your let's say childhood to where you are now and stuff. How was your upbringing and everything? Like, what was your...
I had what I think is a pretty normal upbringing. My parents are still together. I've got a brother, an older brother, a young, and a twin sister. I nearly said younger. I'm the youngest. Yeah, so really? I'm a twin. So I've
knew that,
So she's a minute older than me.
Oh, so you're not a twin then? She's older.
Yeah, we're not identical, but we was both very sporty when we was younger, and I think that's probably where my competitive edge has come from. We were competing against each other all the time. We used to play opposite positions in netball at school. Then she got selected for athletics. I wanted to swim, but my parents couldn't kind of do both. So my parents were like, let's just do the athletics. And then she was like more like long jump and sprinting, and I was more into like the lazy stuff, like the throwing and stuff. And I became really good at it. And I think there was always that competitive edge. And I know that it was quite hard for her growing up, because throwing was an easier sport to get higher level in at the time. It was, and I think I progressed. There's less girls, especially girls. It's not a very attractive sport for girls to get into. Like, it's not something. The same with strong women. It's not something that's perceived to be normal for a woman. So I just went into it because as soon as I feel like I'm good at something, I'll kind of stick to it.
And let's be honest, like, you've got like the physique for that sort of stuff.
And
like,
I was never built to sprint. I was definitely never built to sprint or run and stuff like that. So I think we always had like a bit of competition and stuff. But she was the person that always pushed me to be better. She was always that person for me. And even,
as in like mentally or as in physically, like as in she did better, so you want...
No, I think both. We was always we never had like a bad like relationship, but she was always like she won't mind me saying it. We call it the Underdown glare. She's got like this stare. I'm the much more outgoing one. She's very much more like introvert, and she'll give you this stare that it's like a glare that, like, I think it comes from my dad, basically. So yeah, but she's always. She tries to come to my competitions. She'll like call me and text me before every competition that I do. It's still now. She heard my nephews. She makes them sit and watch me. They have no idea what's going on, but she makes them sit and watch me or record videos for me saying good luck and stuff like that. So like she's always been there to push me, and I think that's been. Does
she do anything now then? Or?
No, she like once. So she's now married and she's got 2 gorgeous kids, and that's like, you know what life's like. It gets too busy. She's got a really good job. She lives in North Wales, so I don't get to see her very often. But like when we do, it's just she's like my best. Well, she is my best friend. Like we're literally born together. Like so, you can't really lose
just to stir the shit. Then, so if you won, then you've stuck it out.
Yeah, I'm the one that stuck it out.
Sorry,
Amy.
Wasn't it, Amy? Yeah. Just thought I'd stir that. But yeah, no. But I guess that was good to.
But yeah, that was that always helped.
I literally had my nails painted, makeup, beside his sister. So it's a bit different.
Yeah, I think that makes life.
I'm lucky to have made it as a man. I had my mum. My dad left at an early, so I had my mum, my sister, and so I'm Deneen.
Deneen.
New version.
Painted nails explains a lot about you.
Well, Dean. Well, it won't be hard to find me in a dress. That's a whole new story.
But yeah, growing up, I was quite normal. But I was from 11. And then, as I mentioned, until I joined the police, which I was 25 when I joined the police. So from the age of 11 to 25, I was competing in athletics.
Yeah, so always doing something.
Yeah, I was never like that. Like I was a good kid at school, like goody two shoes. I didn't like getting into trouble, and then like sport was my life. Like I would train like 2-3 times a week up until I was like 15, and it went to 4 to 5 times a week. So I wasn't like out drinking every night as a teenager and stuff, and I think that's where probably like that dedication to that training and stuff has come from.
A lot of norm,
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think it definitely kept me out of trouble and stuff like that. So
and as well, mentally and physically, everything you've done there would have conditioned you to be who you are. Let's be honest. Like,
definitely.
You don't just fall into what you do because of luck, do you? Like it's, not having that, going out every weekend lifestyle, and not having the whole like. I don't know, breaking rules. And do you know what I mean? Because let's be honest, like a lot of young kids just get into shit as they grow up, don't
exactly,
they? Because you seem to have not.
I think I was just that just kind of kept me on the right path. Like I grew up in like in a council house. Like my family didn't have a lot of money, but we never wanted for anything. Do you know what I mean? But we always were able to just stick to what we wanted to do and never like take direction from other people. Like we're always quite solid in actually this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do my thing. Like and I think that's always been ingrained in us from like when we were younger. So it's been
refreshing
good
to hear that though,
Yeah, it's a bit.
Not a lot of families that have stayed as you.
No, it's very different actually. I've only realised now as I'm older that it's not actually as that common anymore. So it's nice to have that family unit, to be honest.
So did you know you wanted to join the police at an early age?
No, I never wanted to join the police.
Really?
No, I wanted to be a PE teacher, and I did. I worked in a school for ages, for about 4 years, I think it was. I did a sports science degree at uni, and then I went and worked as a cover teacher in a school. Loved it, but I just got to a point where I was just like, I don't know if it's for me. I didn't know what else I wanted to do with my life. Randomly saw that the Met were recruiting and just was like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. And that was it. Like 2 months later, I had like a start date. And I was like, really, what have I done? But
how old are you then? 25 then?
And I was 25. Yeah. I was about to turn 25 when I joined. Yeah. So yeah. But it was probably the best decision I made. I love being a police officer. It's different. It's challenging. It's rewarding. Yeah. In like it can be really hard. It can be very stressful, and some of the stuff that you deal with cannot be very nice. But at the same time, you could literally be there making a difference to someone's life. And you could be the reason that they're still here today. And that's you can never get over that.
No, of course. Yeah.
It is for all the shit that it gets and all the bad rep that the Met does have. it is a really good job to be involved in, and like it can be really hard and stressful, but yeah, I do love it.
So what would you say, like, from you joining the police and stuff? You know, obviously you were, as you grew up, you were quite a tough person, let's say. You know what I mean? From sport makes you tough, doesn't it? Like you don't shy away from stuff. But then, so when you joined the police, did you go through a stage of rapid change mentally or anything like that? You know,
I think the police probably did change me quite a bit. There was stuff that I dealt with, like just after I joined the police. I was in a relationship with someone that went downhill pretty. We were together for 3 years. It went downhill really fast, really rapidly. It was not a good relationship to be in. It's caused me anxiety. I suffer with anxiety, and that was all at the same sort of time as joining the police. And then within that first year, my granddad died, and I had to give him CPR. And he was the first person I ever gave CPR to. So I think I did have to change, like, and become a lot more. I always thought I was quite mentally tough, but I realised before that I wasn't. I was quite naive, I think, to life. And then all of a sudden, stuff changes you, and you become much harder. And it desensitises you. The job, in the police you call it the job, and it desensitises you to, like, stuff that I think is normal isn't necessarily normal for everybody else. And it's just the same with you, like with a military background. Like you see things, and you'll go to stuff like I've had someone jump off a building. They've landed at pretty much at my feet. They jumped from 4 stories down just to try and run away from some of my colleagues, and they landed at my feet, and I had to help them out, and that was not a very pretty sight to deal with. That was quite a tough thing, and you just go through these stages of you go like I remember going home and being like, talking to my housemate and being like, I'm going to be late. I was late off today, but it was just because I was dealing with this. Yeah. And she was like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And like, are you sure? Like, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then like, but that's not normal. And I'm like, that's all right. I went back to work the next day, and then I tried to train that evening, and I was in I was like 2 weeks out from pulling the 300 kilo deadlift for the first world record that I pulled. I was about 2 weeks out from that, and I had a really bad deadlift session. And I remember messaging Shane and saying to him, I don't know if I can do this. I've had a really bad session. And he texted me back, and he was like, this is really unusual for you. Is there anything going on at home? And I was like, oh, well, this did happen yesterday. Like, somebody just jumped off a building. He was like, that's not normal. Yeah. He was like, you need to take some time off and rest. And you don't realise how it affects your mind at all. And I think you do push those horrible things. You kind of, it's a dark, you kind of have a dark sense of humour, and you kind of think, oh, that's happened, but it's okay, and I'm going to push that to the back of my mind, and I'm never going to deal with it again. I never have to think about it. But you do have to replay it, and you do have to deal with those situations at some point. And I think the gym and the strongman stuff has always been like, especially the strongman kind of transitioned into that kind of way of dealing with those sorts of emotions.
Which a lot of people say, don't they? And I've got a similar reason why I do it. Yeah. But you know, like, obviously, as you say there, like, because obviously trauma, let's call these things trauma, because they are, aren't they? They're instances in your life that are, however you want to look at it, you're affected by, whether it's big, little, whatever. They always come up at some point. Yeah. It's important, isn't it, that you, and you've obviously learnt to do this over the years, but I'm sure you're always learning, because we all always are, but you learn to deal with it in some way, whether it's dealing with it completely or not. You are aware of it. Yeah.
Definitely. I think I always say that I've dealt with things, like I said about my granddad. I always say that I've dealt with that, but I've never spoken about it since the day that, I've never spoken about the fact I gave him CPR to any of my family since that day that it happened, because it just felt like it was too much. It feels to me like it's too much for them to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I want to protect them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was about to say
definitely.
but remembering this, you're protecting them, but you're not allowing yourself to
be protected. Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm not letting people protect me in some ways, because I think being a police officer, it's kind of ingrained into me that I'm the one that has to deal with those sorts of situations, and like I have to protect my mum. I had to protect my nan that day, and not for them not to see all the horrible stuff that was happening, and to try and give them a bit of space and a little bit of I don't know, a little bit of easier closure than having to deal with the whole scenario as a whole, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult.
I guess that's you wearing your hat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you said earlier on, that's you wearing your work hat.
I always say that. Yeah.
But then at the same time, you need that time where you wear just yours.
Just a normal. That's a bit I do really struggle with that. I do wear a lot of hats. I have a normal Lucy hat, which doesn't come out very often, because sometimes I forget.
What is normal?
Yeah, exactly. Like I probably am not even wearing a normal hat now.
Yeah.
There's very few people probably that get the real version of like me as a general person. Like, obviously this is snippets of it and a bits, but I have to be more confident and a bit more like, do you know, but I've got a strong woman Lucy, I've got a police officer Lucy. There's like my family Lucy, because you don't want them to have to deal with everything that you have to go through as well, and you want to protect them from all like that. I don't want them to feel like shit because I've had a bad day or I've had a bad experience, but that's what they're there for. They're really good at that sort of stuff, and they are there for me, but I don't want to burden them with my stuff. So it does get really hard sometimes. I'm
sure you know this, but you're not burdening them.
No, I know. I think
that's a learn, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's something that, like me and Sarah have this time where, like, at the minute it's a Monday, we change it sometimes, but like where we both just say whatever we want to say.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I'm who I am at work, she's who she is at work, we are who we are with the children and stuff, but then actually, like, you just need that time where you just do what you want in that circle. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's, I've started to kind of realise that in the last couple of years. I'm in a new relationship. I'm like really, really happy. I'm probably in the happiest place that I've been for a very long time, like in my career, in Strong Woman, in my relation, in like my personal life. Everything is kind of all of a sudden kind of come together, and I feel really good. And I've started to realise that actually taking time for myself is allowed. And like, I've just got back from Worlds, and I've just spent a week in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, with my boyfriend, and we just had the best week. I've done nothing. Literally, I haven't done anything all week, but that's exactly what I needed. Yeah. I think I've never felt more refreshed after a comp. I haven't got the post-comp blues. I couldn't be more pleased for it to be over.
You've dealt with it in that way.
Exactly,
release, yeah.
And that's it. I think sometimes you just have to stop. And you forget that sometimes. I think you get so caught up in life and the world around you that you do forget to just stop.
One of the things, so obviously, I'm sure you've seen me launching Line Mind X off the back of this. So one of the things that I go through there is, I call it the 5 flames. But it's making sure that you're dealing with everything. Yeah. Like, your family, the fun. Yeah. So my weak areas, like, historically, is family and fun. Yeah. And that's not because I don't care about my family. Yeah. It's not because I don't have fun, because I do both of those within. Yes. But the point is, it's making sure that you actually make time for it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's something that I think is so important, isn't it?
Definitely.
To be like, when am I having downtime? When am I having, whatever, call it stupid time. If it's something stupid you want to do. Like,
if you need to have like the Zoomies for 5 minutes, do the Zoom. Do you know, like a dog would. Like, it's like, you just allow yourself that time to do you. Yeah, and that's it.
And not have responsibilities. Because again, your job is ridiculously intense. Mine is like, Jesus Christ, I've got people that message me every single day, and if I message them when they message me, I wouldn't have a life, and my anxiety would fall out my arse, and I'd just feel crap.
Yeah, and it's not good. And I find as I said, I suffer with anxiety, and it's very difficult to manage at times. Like, I can control it in situations. Like, I can go to work and not have anxiety, but I might not have slept the night before because I'm like just overthinking everything, and it could just be the slightest of things. So like, my anxiety kind of presents itself as insomnia, so I don't sleep a lot. But then other days I'll sleep for like 10 10, 12 hours if I've got the time. But
is that,
if
is
I
that
go
through your body forcing you to sleep, or is that because you're like, look, I've got time, so I need to sleep?
I think it's more like sometimes my body's
Shut
forcing
down.
me to sleep.
Yeah.
I think that's what it kind of gets to that point. But I've noticed as I've become happier as a person and more kind of just more confident in who I am now. I think I lost my way a lot. When I was in my previous relationship, I lost who I was as a person. I didn't know who I was because I had to be their person.
Yeah.
I was never allowed to be me, and I had to spend a lot of my time making that person happy, and it was never healthy. And like, we spent so much time together, I didn't even know how to load a bar in the gym or how much the bars would weigh or anything like that, because they would do everything. And so, or I couldn't go shopping on my own because I didn't know what we'd normally get for food and stuff like that, because they had to be there all the time. And I think I lost myself as a person. So all of a sudden, like, I think I'm coming back to me, and I've become so much better at everything and I'm so much happier. I'm so much like just healthier in every sense, like that. It just helps,
you're showing
like
your best self,
and that's it, because I get to be who I am, and that's it. And I think that's really helped over the last year, like, because it's really, like, I've really noticed like that my confidence has started to evolve. Like I'm surrounding myself with people, like my best mates are like pretty much the people I met through work, but I've got 3 mates who just look after me all the time, and if I'm really struggling, all I have to do is send them a message, and they're all there, and that's it. And or I'll just be sat with them, and they'll be like, "What's wrong?" And they know instantly. And I think I've got people now that are around me that get me, and that just accept me as a person, and we all kind of understand each other. So like, I've got a proper support system now. So
well, that's what I was about to use that word. Like, it's like a support network, isn't it?
It's
people
definitely,
that are around you.
You don't realise how important that is, and when that's all taken away from you, like you don't realise how isolated and how much like you lose yourself as a person. It's difficult.
It's tough,
it's
because
hard.
that situation you would have been in, it's a double-sided thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so hard because it's not all one-sided.
No, of course not.
It's partly because you're allowing that to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
You can control your life to a degree.
Yeah.
It's also because of the over-empowerment of
100%. It's never just one person.
No,
it's never just one person, and I think that probably says something about my my version of my own self-worth at the time, because I didn't feel confident in myself to be myself at that point.
To put your foot down,
and
in a way.
and that's it. So like, I would never say that it was just all that one person. It's just you have to take responsibility for yourself at the end of the day.
The reason I say that as well is because I'm a very empowering person, and out of me and Sarah, I become this Dean's World.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've only just realised it in the last couple of years, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
It become Dean's World, and she lost herself.
Yeah.
And when she won't mind me saying it, I don't think. When she broke down and told me that she's lost herself, it upset me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know I was doing that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's
a partnership at the end of the day, isn't it?
But it's important you speak. And that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why I find it so...
That's it.
It's so important to understand, isn't it, when we're in situations like that as much as it's like an overpowering person, but the other person has to also communicate.
Yeah, that's it. That's why that support network is so important, because if you can't communicate with them, then that's not support. Like,
agree.
And then that becomes the problem, and nothing changes. Whereas as soon as you surround yourself with those people that do allow you that space and that time, and just give you a chance to just be open, then it really does help.
Me and Sarah always have a thing as well now where we say, "Can I speak?" I know it sounds stupid, but that's like a trigger to know that we want to say something.
Yeah. That's really good. That's a really good.
To speak, sorry. If you've got time for me, because again, we'll all know this, right? I'm a massive. I've got Tourette's sometimes. I'll just say what I see without thinking.
That's what we love about you.
I'll come in the room and I'll just literally go, and actually, like, a bit extreme, but someone could have just died and I wouldn't have known, because I'm just thinking like what I'm thinking. But again, that's just how my head is sometimes, and I realised that later on down the line, where I then control the room, swallow the room, and not realise what's happening in the room.
Yeah.
It's like do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A fog. So that's why now me and Sarah have that thing where we say, "Have you got time?" Because it's a bit like
That's really good.
Because honestly, if you said to me like, "Have you got time to speak?" and I knew what you meant,
Yeah.
if I genuinely haven't got time, I need to say no, because if I said yes, I'm not doing you any favours, because I'm like, yes, but then I'm still concentrating on this, or do you know what I mean? If you need my attention, you need my attention.
Yeah. It needs to be that. It needs to just be 100% or not at all. You can't give a half-hearted.
No, of course.
Version
and you know
yourself.
what? You know when you grow up, you know, whatever that means. But when you grow up and you understand these things, especially when you got children as well, man. Fucking hell, like, I want to strangle my kids sometimes, but you're not allowed to do that apparently, especially when you sit with a police officer. but you know, you have to learn these things, don't you? Of like, look, this is the time for this is the time for that, and if something happens, you need to say, because if you don't, it'll build up, and these are all the things about relationships, aren't they? And yeah, I think too often in relationships, people go through. I guess they're just plodding along.
Yeah.
And they're just thinking relationships are easy. You know what? They're fucking not.
Yeah.
I actually watched, and I'll quote this because it was insane. Do you watch Diary of the CEO?
Oh, no, I've not seen
Stephen Bartlett.
it.
Right.
No, I've not seen it.
This is for anyone listening as well, and Stephen, give me some back for this. But no, honestly, there's one that I watched the other day of him. It's called... It's actually about sex and relationship, right? But it just goes deep into the psychology of how you treat each other and why you do it. It is insane. But it really goes into that understanding about, like, you know, like, you don't always mean what you say. Do you know, that sort of stuff? Because let's be honest, in a relationship, you fucking assume that everyone knows sometimes. Yeah. And when you walk in, you're in a bad mood. You know, you could be in the best mood, right? I've walked in, you know, I'm in a bad mood, so I'm fucking this, and you was just, and all of a sudden I've just killed your day.
Yeah. Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And
you do, because you don't realise how you're projecting yourself, do you? Because sometimes you're just so self-consumed in your own emotions. It's hard to. I actually probably did that this morning. I was on the way here and I was on the phone to my boyfriend and Johnny was like, "Are you okay?" Like, and he's really happy, and I was like, "Why are you so happy this morning?" And I was like, I don't know why I'm being like this. It was just kind of like, I'm just killing your mood for no reason, but because sometimes I just feel like a bitch. Yeah. But you don't. But like, he knows I don't mean it like that, and it's just like, I'm just like, sometimes you don't realise the effect that you actually might be having on others, and I think sometimes you need to take a step back to realise that. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, but it is powerful though, isn't it? And you know, when you look into all that stuff, like it only makes us better as people. Yeah, definitely. Whatever character we are to. You know, whether you're a mum, dad, you're a brother, sister, whatever you are. Yeah. It doesn't have to be all about, obviously, like, I deal with a lot of like through strongman and stuff, but it doesn't define me as a person. And I think like being a police officer doesn't define me as a person either. I am Lucy, and I'm good at all these things but that isn't who I am. Yeah. I'm a completely different person to that, and I think sometimes it's good to acknowledge that. And I get so when I get to go out and I get to party and I get to like have a few drinks and go out for dinner and go see all my mates and just do something silly for a couple of days, it really benefits me. And I think everybody everybody needs that time. Yeah, I agree. I want to take it back to your granddad time, if you don't mind speaking about that. So when you go, like, we differentiate in the, like the work superhero, let's call you. Yep. And the family stepping into superhero because it's what you want to do. What exactly happened with your granddad, and why did it go the way it did for you? So he hadn't been very well a couple of days before, and he'd gone into hospital. He didn't really have any, as old people do, they're on a lot of medication, but he didn't really have anything specifically wrong with him. He'd gone into hospital. They did some checks and they just sent him home telling him he had indigestion, and it didn't seem right with me at the time, but I remember I wasn't there. I was actually throwing. I was doing a training session. I'd been to the hospital and left him there with my mum and dad, and I went to do my training session. I went and did then a couple of night shifts, And after the second night shift, my mum's. I started sunbathing in the garden. If it was hot, I used to sunbathe in the garden and get a tan and sleep like between shifts. And my mum came out and she was like, "Oh, you couldn't do me a favour. We need to get to your nan and granddad's." Like, so we went over. So I drove her over, and we've got there, and the neighbours have come out. The ambulance has literally just arrived. And the neighbours have come out and they're like, "Don't go in." And I was like, "Well, I can't. My nan's in there. Like, I'm going in." Didn't explain anything. And he's there. He's on the floor, and he basically just not been feeling very well. Asked my nan to help him go to the toilet, and he's collapsed in the middle of the kitchen floor, basically.
So could he walk before?
He could. Yeah, he was all fine before that, and then all of a sudden that was it. He was just he'd killed over. So. We luckily, like, there was an ambulance there at the time, and they said to me, "Do you think you could help?" And I was like, "Well, I'm a police officer. I can help you out." I was like, "I need to make sure that my nan's okay." And then I started CPR with them as well, and we did that. And I'd never done it before, and I was like, "This." And I did say to them, "It's my first time," and you're never like giving someone CPR is like one of the most horrific things that you can do. It's not very nice. And it was the first time I'd ever done it. I had never done it in the police at the time. I've done it a lot since, and it did actually desensitise me to the everything else, because obviously that's my granddad, so nothing could be worse to me than that. Like, he was like almost, I saw him weekly, like for pretty much, or multiple times a week, pretty much from a baby up until he died. So we were really close. So it's not, he was like a second dad to me almost, like rather than a granddad. He was there all the time. So to have to do that, it was like terrible. My nan's house, she was like kind of trapped in the living room. She couldn't come out because he's in the middle of the floor. And so between doing my stints of CPR, I had to go and speak to my nan. And she was like, I remember her, she was broken. She was like, "This is it." And I kept saying to her, they're doing everything you can. It's going to be okay. And she was like, "Please don't lie to me. Please tell me." So I had to tell my nan that he wasn't going to make it, because you just knew. At that time, it was quite difficult, because when I was doing the CPR, his heartbeat had come back, and his heart was beating again, and he kind of recovered, but he was never going to recover. It was difficult to say that to her, because he was there, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. So I remember he did manage to. So he was alive pretty much until he got to the hospital. That he was blue lighted to hospital, which is great, because he always said that he wanted to go on blue lights with me. As soon as I joined the police, he was like, "One day I want to go do a blue light ride with you," and like that was the last trip that we had together. So I feel like it's kind of a little bit poetic in a way, although it's not very nice. You have to look at things and be like,
you've achieved something.
And I think that was really tough for me, because he, as I said, we were all really close, and I felt like I didn't cry. I was like in robot mode. So I basically was dealing with him. I was dealing with my nan. Then my mum's she's their only daughter, so she's out in the back garden with the neighbours, and I'm trying to do that. And in between, I'm trying to call my dad and being like, "Dad, you need to come and get here. Things aren't good," and trying to rally around my brother and sister at work, and I'm everyone needs to come. So you're trying to be that. I felt like I was on top of everything. I was the person that was the one that was going to deal with it. And I always promised my mum that if something happened, I was like, "Don't worry." She was like, "I don't know what I'll do when my parents go," and I was like, "Don't worry, Mum, I'll deal with it." It was and I did, and it felt like I was that protector. And I think at that point, I was finding it very difficult to be like Lucy. I was definitely police officer Lucy, and I didn't know how to kind of get out of that. And I remember as soon as he died at the hospital, that was when I broke down. It was kind of like that. There was no need for me to be that person anymore, and I felt like that. But we've never, as I said, as a family, we kind of packed up. We went back to mum's house, and we all just sat there, and from that day onwards, we've never mentioned it.
Really?
Not like we mentioned, obviously, Grandad. We talk about Grandad, but never that actual day.
I guess you all did it together, so it's
Yeah.
like, what do you need to talk about?
Yeah. But I think it's one of those things.
I don't agree with me saying that, but
Yeah.
I'm saying that for what.
Yeah,
it
no, of
seems
course,
like.
and I think that's probably partly they don't want to bring it up because they know it's not a very nice thing to have dealt with. Obviously, we didn't bring it up. My nan's passed away now as well, but probably because it was really upsetting for her. And then I think also like it's just you don't want to bring it up. I think it's just you want to remember them for who they are, not for what you've done. But I think at the same time, I think as a family, we do have this tendency to kind of like
brush it
under the carpet. And but I think maybe that was more to do with me as well because I probably acted around them that it didn't matter. That it was fine. They knew it wasn't fine, but it
something
didn't
I see there. It looks like you're the leader.
Yeah.
In that scenario, or maybe in many scenarios, and the leader hasn't spoken about it.
Yeah. And
then
that's
not to put it all on you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Definitely.
It's a.
I think it's something that I need to learn to do.
No, and again, it probably is something that one day you might mention. I don't know, but when we are in fear or in need of help, and someone takes control.
Yeah.
You're grateful of that, aren't you?
Yeah.
So actually, you go, the leader's done this, and we're going to follow the leader. I.e., it was you.
Yeah.
And that's
it. You don't.
To have you there was absolutely amazing for them.
Yeah, definitely.
But, and it's managing the like you say the aftermath.
I think it is. Yeah, and I think the fact that we've never. I think I never thought that it really bothered me, but the fact that we've never really spoken about it, like sometimes I say to like people, it's not really something I talk about because it's not obviously something I've ever felt like I've had to talk about. It's just I've always been the person that's just I dealt with it and it's done, and that's kind of now the same way that I deal with a lot of things. I know, and I know I'm very guilty of brushing things under the carpet, and it's very difficult to have to go through something like that and keep it all to yourself. And it's difficult. I think this is probably the most open I've actually been about it, and I know we as people like think, oh, that was that when you say something and you're like, oh, that was so brave and that's so, but we're just human, like, and it's just something that happened naturally at the time, and you can't you got to remember that you're human afterwards. I think that's what I'm trying to say. You've still got I am like, although I dealt with it and I did it in my way and I feel like I've brushed it under the carpet, sometimes I forget that I'm still human and there's still emotion in that, and you can't hold that back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And not to be your therapist and guide you on it.
Yeah.
But it probably is something that, you may think about in the future.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Because I always look at, like, I love to look into, like, the mind and stuff and programming.
Yeah.
And programming is one of those things, isn't it, where, like, if you continue to have a certain way of your programming, it's like me telling you your right hand, your left hand. If I tell you that, I always say this actually, and putting a bit of humour to this, I'd love to, and I couldn't for the life of me, but I'd love to tell my son that something's not something for him, and see how long I can keep it for. But that just proves, doesn't it, like, it's just, you just believe what you see.
Oh my God, yeah. An example of that, my nan used to tell me, the flashing light on the top of Canary Wharf?
Yeah.
My nan convinced me as a child that she had gone there on a school trip. She used to work in a primary school, and that she'd left the light on, right? And that's honestly me, my sister, and my brother. Embarrassingly,
that is amazing.
Thought that was real.
That is good.
For years, like teenage. Yeah, told friends everything. I still tell people now, like
please do
honestly.
it to someone, like, continue.
It's something you've got to do that because it's so, if it's ingrained in you, you just believe it.
But that is the point, isn't it? It just proves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But could you imagine? I mean, I think this would class as child cruelty. But can you imagine telling your child that the spoon's a fork or something, and just never letting it go? I mean, I say that at the minute we're fucking doing the elf. I mean, that's lying to him.
Yeah.
This morning there was a well good one. There was flour all over the floor. Leo's digger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
It looked great. It was Sarah's idea. It looked great. But, we're complete fucking liars.
Yeah.
So actually, like, this whole spoon and fork thing's not actually not bad now. But you think about it like that, ultimately it's just programming of the brain, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And again, that's why I think it's so important that we, and I'm not putting too much pressure on you, but I want you to think about this for yourself. But we control those programming things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we do.
Because we have them because we have them.
Yeah.
But actually, we don't have to continue them if we don't like them.
Yeah.
Or we don't see value in them.
Yeah.
And that, as a sentence, is fucking powerful.
Yeah,
like,
that is huge. Yeah.
You know, you have to think about, like, do you want to continue that? Because you don't fucking have to.
Yeah.
You know, you can reprogram anything.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a fat bastard. Whatever you call yourself. You know, I'm weak.
Yeah.
I'm fucking whatever. Like, there's a parrot behind you just there, and it's what my therapist always says about the parrot talks to us.
Yeah.
And that's that thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you can change that narrative, it's so powerful to you as a person, because you get to change everything.
Gosh, and you know what? Cheesy as it fucking sounds, this is where you go. You can achieve anything.
Exactly.
You can.
There's a lot. I went through when I was at my lowest point. One of my best mates, he was going through like a phase of reading these self-help books and stuff, and I can never get into them, and I know how good they are, but my brain just will not like let me kind of associate myself to it, if that makes sense. Probably, I think it's probably. Not like reading? No, it's probably. I love reading, so it's more to do with being vulnerable, I think, and having to face those kind of those. Yeah, it is fears. But he basically was like, right, if you believe, then you will achieve. And like, so we just went round in circles, and for ages he was telling me, if you think it's going to happen, this is going to happen. And then he kept saying it, and then all of a sudden, like, I did start to believe in myself, and then that's when I pulled the deadlift record for the first time, and then all of a sudden he was like, in like a year's time, you're going to look back on life and be like, why the fuck was I this low?
Yeah, why was I so scared?
Why was I so down? Why was everything such a big deal? Because, and he was right. Like, I literally spent a bit of time like reflecting the other day, and I was like, my life has changed so much, and what the fuck was I worried about? If you could tell yourself that in that moment, it would be so powerful. But but also you've got to go through those times to make you who you are as a person.
Yeah, of course. And that's that thing, isn't it? You know, obviously, you know, I work with a lot of people doing this, like, this style of stuff, and when you're telling someone to, I mean, you're not saying it like this, but when you're telling someone to get a fucking grip, they can only get a grip when they want to, and that's that thing where you have to, you know, guide people to open the door and stuff. But when it's yourself, it's very hard, because there's a lot of natural negative stuff that come in, and you're trying, you know, and again, it's the parrot thing, isn't it? Like, where you're doing something and the parrot will say, you're shit. Yeah. And it's like,
I still have moments like that, and I did say to Shane, I think it was at Britain's Strongest Women, so I had power stairs left. We was in the exact, me and Rebecca Roberts were in the exact same position as we had been, and at Europe's, and I was like, in my head before I went out, all of a sudden I was like, you're not good enough. And then I fucked it. I fucked the run. And I was like, I said to Shane, like, for some reason I just couldn't allow myself to just go with the flow. I was like, I knew I've done it. I've already done it before. I know I'm good at this event. I can do it. But for some reason, in that moment, I was in my head that something was telling me, you're not good enough for this. And I think, like, things aren't always going to be perfect, but like, I think maybe there was an element to that. My World's Stone Run, when I was 2 points in the lead, and I fucked the Stone Run up. I felt confident going out, but I've never fumbled stones like that before in my life, and I think there is still a little bit of that. It's sort of thing, still in the back of my mind, telling me no. So that's still something that I've got to work on. It's something that everybody has to work on all the time. There's something new is always going to crop up, isn't it? But
I think it's getting the balance, isn't it, of not putting that too much pressure on yourself to perfect it, because it's you know, you're always going to have those doubts. We just do. But then at the same time, something that I find really powerful, and what I do a lot of, is actually putting certain action points in place to actually at least give you a better chance than not doing it, if that makes sense. You know,
definitely. It's sometimes it's about my perception of it as well. Like, if I'm feeling confident, like, I'll see my nerves and those sorts of things as like motivation. Like, no, you are good enough. Like, you've worked really hard for this. You've done everything that you can. And then other times I'll be like, I'll just, if I'm not feeling as good in myself, or for whatever reason, it all of a sudden comes, crashing back down again. So
Yeah.
you have to, it's how you interpret it a lot of the time, isn't it, in your brain? Because nerves are going to happen. Nerves happen to everybody,
Yeah, gotcha.
but it's how you perceive those nerves
Yeah.
in the run up to it that actually makes the person that you are at the end of it, that gives you the better outcome.
Yeah.
So if you perceive nerves as a good thing and a positive thing, they're there to push you, then that's when you start performing. But when you're not seeing it as that, and your nerves are telling you you're not good enough, that's when things don't go so well.
That's where the conditioning comes in as well.
Yeah.
Because like, if you condition yourself to those environments again,
Yeah.
look at your work.
Yeah.
Someone's
Exactly.
just, someone's just died in front of you.
Yeah.
How do you get ready for that? Well, the first time it happened, I bet it was fucking shit.
Yeah.
Because I've been in the situations myself where
Then all of a sudden it becomes...
Well, actually, when you talk about CPR earlier
Yeah.
on, I've done CPR on 2 people.
Yeah.
1 survived, 1 died.
Yeah.
I went on holiday. I'm trying to think when it was ago now. About 6 months ago. It might be even longer.
Yeah.
I took my mum away because my mum's... Right, going into it. Well, my mum's quite ill and stuff.
Yeah.
We took her away. And whilst on holiday with my mum, we was walking... What were we doing? We was walking back to our room, and there was a crowd of people around the stairs near the pool, but the pool was shut, so it was like, what's going on here? We went to walk that way still, because that's the way we walked, although there was a crowd there, and there was a man on the floor, and they was giving him CPR.
Oh, wow.
My mum is an ex-nurse, so she's like, I'll help.
Yeah.
There was too many people helping.
Yeah.
There was a doctor, there was this, there was that.
Yeah.
So it was like, right, we'll just leave it. And we went back. But it brings back all those things, doesn't it? Because it's
it
like,
does.
like I say, I've had one that I've helped and one that died, and then you go, it was my fault he died. And
Yes.
then the next thing you see someone going through that, and you're like,
it's
trauma, isn't it?
It is. It is.
You can't stop that.
No, I think there was one year in the police where I went through a time where, 1 year I'd done no CPR. The following year, I had 8 in about 4 or 5 weeks, where and it was like, oh, shit. And only one of them survived, and that one fucked me up so much worse than the rest of them, because I'd
mentally I
desensitized myself to it so much that you expected them to die. And then when he didn't, I was just like, oh shit, this is this is not normal. Yeah, this is and you're like, and you can't, and then so I couldn't appreciate that I had just saved someone.
Success, yeah.
Or it was a collective thing, but I was one of the ones that was doing it. And you're just like, how does that work? Because I was so sure that, I just turned up and I was like, this is just going to be another one. And that's
works.
it. And you're like, oh shit, this.
And also,
it
let's
does
be honest,
work,
if you've done it that many times, you know this feeling, but it's fucking hard work.
It is hard.
And actually, when you're doing this, you feel like you're doing the wrong thing anyway, because you're like, this isn't going to fucking bring a person back to life.
No, it is not the nicest thing to do at all.
Especially with the pressure you have to put on and stuff. You're thinking, this isn't right.
Yeah, because I think that's what fucked me up a lot about that person, because I was just like, he's gonna have so much pain and damage to
they
him.
say, don't they? I think you would have heard this as well, but in CPR, I don't know the percentage, but I'm just going to say 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, you will get a broken rib and stuff if you're doing it properly.
Yeah.
And to get your head around that is so I've got to break the sternum to survive. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And then can
you
you imagine?
Got time to think about that anyway.
I've had to have my sternum clicked and stuff, and that hurts enough.
And
I'm
it's
like,
a weird feeling.
Yeah. And I cannot imagine having to wake up and then go deal through that. So it's such a fucked up thing to have to deal with. And I think you do forget that. Again, you do forget that that's not a normal thing to do every day. And I think when especially that 1 year when I had to do it a lot, I think it really got to a point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. There's only so much I can do as a person, and you get to a point where you're just like, I just can't do this.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Yeah, but I guess as well you have to remember. And we could put this in strongman as well, without trying to do all that all the time. But you have to remember, don't you? Those shit times. There's always that. Not light at the end of the tunnel. I don't want it to sound cheesy like that. But there is always those days that shit goes really well, and you go, I'm fucking glad I do this job now.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think you have to just keep waiting for those, don't you?
It does always balance itself out. I think I can probably say for every shit time I've had, I've probably had more like positive
Yeah,
times,
cool.
and
Which
I
is-
think
you do
a
it-
lot
you know
more,
you're in
which
the right
is
job then.
yeah, exactly. If can you imagine if I felt like it was shit
I know,
all the
yeah.
time?
3 to 1 of shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you don't dwell on that, because I think the next day, or it could be the next call. You can do like CPR on 1 minute. That's not going to be the last thing you deal with. You might then go
No,
and
it could
have
go
to
10
go.
times worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You deal with something else. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're just like, you don't have a minute to think. So I think that really goes a long way into showing you, like, actually that's probably why a lot of police officers are like the way they are, and don't show a lot of emotion, and can be seen as a little bit emotionless, because you do have to flip between one or the other, like, and you've just got to deal with it. You can't ever stop, basically, because if you stop and think about what you're doing, then like the world is a shit place.
Yeah.
You can't. You
I
don't
agree.
want to be like
But there's
that.
also, again, on the mental, like the mental health side of things, there's also a fine line, isn't there? Make sure you do enough.
Yeah.
Like, honestly
Yeah.
speaking, do you feel like I'm putting pressure on you now? Do you feel like you do enough things in your life to balance you out, to make you grateful of your normal life?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that ultimately, that's the answer, isn't it? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, if you're living on this high intensity all the time,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, I think probably for a while the answer to the question was probably no, I wasn't.
Yeah.
But right now I can honestly say to you that I feel like there's the good and the bad are, like, well, my good in my life outweighs all the bad stuff, and that's a nice place to be.
Cool.
And I think it can be challenging fitting all of these things in, but it's made me. It's not who I am as a person, but it's made me the person I am today.
Yeah. And I guess, like, the strongman side of things, we always say strongman, don't we?
Yeah.
You're a woman.
That's fine. I can say it's strong man.
Men are more important, apparently. Than strongman.
Excuse me.
Especially nowadays, you probably can't even say that anymore. But yeah, you know, like the strong woman stuff that you do, although it's stressful and intense, it carries over to a fun, doesn't it,
Yeah,
as well? And that's,
it
again,
is.
getting that.
Again, yeah, that's it. It isn't all stress and stuff. We do it because we enjoy it. We're not doing it because we make money, because there's no fucking money in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not making money. Like, I lose money. Like, I just flew
overall you do, don't you?
Yeah. So, like, I just flew to America. Like, my prize money doesn't even cover my travel costs. Like, and I came second. So, like, you got to think, like, a lot of people go there and don't place, so they've spent their own money because they enjoy doing it, and I think that does get lost in sometimes, especially when you're competing at, like, the levels that we've both competed at. Like, we've both competed at a high level in this sport, and I think you can be sucked into that whole, oh God, I'm in it to win it, and I'm doing that, and I have to be good, and I have to do this, and you forget to enjoy yourself. And I think that's what I've managed to do this year, and I think that's what's changed, like, the outcomes of my competitions and stuff. I had a good year last year, don't get me wrong, but this year I've really enjoyed everything that I've done. I might seem nervous and, like, but I enjoy that buzz, and I get, like, a lot more adrenaline out of it at the moment, and I just really want to be there on a stage and just doing my thing. So I think
so when you say that,
it's great.
Seeing, obviously I know you both sides of it, but seeing you on, like, I would say you enjoy it anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think, a lot of people say to me, actually, that when they see me, they think, oh my God, Lucy's just having the best time and stuff. But I think that's something that I put on so I don't look so nervous all the time.
Yes. And also, it's your game face, if you
and
want to call it that, isn't it? Like,
that's how I deal with stuff anyway. Yeah.
Showing that, oh shit, like.
But do you know
it's
what?
Not something you do.
I actually love seeing people do well.
Yeah.
So I although I'm there to win, if somebody else wins and does better than me, I can appreciate that, because
of course,
like, everybody's putting in the same amount of work for the same competitions. Like, so I love seeing people succeed, and I think that gives me a buzz. When you're at those sorts of competitions, you're like, oh my God, look, so-and-so's just pulled a PB on that stage. Isn't that amazing? And I just want to kind of go out and congratulate them. And so a lot of the time...
You know the feeling, you know what they put into it. And
a lot of the time at the shows, like, you'll see me, even if I'm due to go out, I will stand there and cheer for the other people because I know what it means to them. It means so much to be there, and you just... I do fucking love this sport. I do. Sometimes I forget that I love it, but when I talk about it like this...
Sometimes it's tough to love it because certain shit that goes on. But at the same time,
exactly.
The bottom line, it is amazing. You know, when it goes to plan,
everything is amazing. Yeah, and it is.
I think it's funny you say that as well. 'Cause I love that you know, digging into understanding how people compete and how well they do in different scenarios.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, you can get some people that literally like they're going to kill someone.
Yeah.
But they do well.
Yes.
And that must be just how they work. I'm very much I have to have fun. The thing is, because I'm a funny person, I think I am. My kids think I am. No, because I like to have fun and I can't be serious for too long.
Yeah.
If I then act the opposite, I actually then get stressed because a little bit like what you're talking about earlier on, I'm being someone different.
Yeah. I think that's what I struggled with when I first started. I thought you had to be this intense person that everybody's everybody's just so intense and I'm not like that as a person. Like, I like to be chilled. Like, I was walking around Worlds with a picture of my dog because I was missing her, showing just random people. I was like walking up to random people like, look at my dog, and everyone's like looking at me like,
saying Lucy's really weird.
And everyone's like, what the fuck is this going on about? But that's just me. I was just enjoying the experience. I was happy to talk to anyone. Whereas, like, I do see people and they're so intense and they're screaming and shouting. I'm like, are you not wasting all your energy on that? But I get it. Some people just need that hype.
Again, you know what? Some people are wasting their energy and don't know it.
Yeah.
But then the other side is, like you say, some people are, but you know, and I don't mean this, I'm not laughing for any reason, but I don't mean this as in it's actually funny, but it does still make me laugh when you see someone that they're just learning, and I get it, but they're fucking going crazy doing backflips, and then they fail the lift, and I'm thinking, if only you had put that effort
into the lift. Yes.
And again,
I know.
You know, they're learning, so I'm not laughing at them.
But it's one of those things I always feel the same.
Yeah, people need to understand themselves because it's like, fucking great entrance.
Yeah, great entrance. Not so great on the lift.
Do you know what I mean? And I will say, my fucking Europe's was a complete shambles, so you can laugh at me as well. Joe came and finished it. And he got it.
There you go. At least your alter ego performed.
But that's it, right? I was in shit state 1 minute, and then the next thing I was.
Were you there enjoying yourself?
Because I think, fuck it, I'm shit anyway.
Were you cheering on Joe?
Yes, I was. I was still at the side.
It was really funny actually because the amount of people that's going, "Go on, Joe!" And I was like, "Go on!" I was like, "Go on, Joe!"
I remember like you walking out actually, and as Joe, and I was like stood there like, "Who the fuck's that?" and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "He's only gone and done it, hasn't he?"
The thing is, you know what? I wasn't going to do it because I was actually I don't know if you know much about my build up to Europe, but I was very stressed and I shouldn't have been there. I tore my lat.
Yeah, I knew that you were injured.
I've not long found out about ADHD diagnosis. Yeah. I was going through medication that fucked me up. I think you've seen the Englands, didn't you?
Yes.
Where I was head first.
Yes. Yeah, I did. I think I saw the results and stuff. Yeah.
The thing is, I know I should have won that comp, and I'll keep saying it to the side because I should have. My performance where I was at, I definitely should have.
Yeah.
I came third, which I know it's not to grumble about, but I won the first event, like. And it's probably my weakest event.
Yeah.
And I won that, and I literally was like, "Fuck, I've won." But again, that's what for anyone that doesn't know. That's what ADHD meds do to you. It makes you feel content.
Yes.
It makes you feel like
you kind of level.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I rapidly realised. I mean, that was the last time I took them. I mean, I carried on taking them, but that was the last show I ever took them. Yeah. Because I realised that's not what I need.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was like I need to manage. Yeah, I actually need to manage ADHD.
Yeah.
I don't need to mask it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And that is and I'm not saying this for anyone. I've done a video about this before. And I'm not saying if anyone ever goes down that route, don't do medication. Yeah. But I learned you can't be who I am in strongman.
But the other thing is, you've got to think about. You've gone like 33 years.
2 more. Yeah.
without medication. So for you to adjust to it, that takes a lot, doesn't it? So is it just the fact that actually you can manage it, and
you
you know who you are
Yeah.
now. You're an adult. You're kind of an adult.
Adult
At
age.
times, adult age, and you can manage that now. And so sometimes medication might not be the answer, and it doesn't have to be the answer for everybody. Like I take medication for my anxiety, but that doesn't work for everybody. Like, do you know what I mean? And you've got to find what works for you. And it's I always say the same with like training as well. We're so intent on copying everybody else. Oh, so and so lifts like this, so I must lift like that.
And then you don't get the results they're getting, and you're wondering why.
Why? Yeah, and it's like you can't, because you're an individual. We're all individual humans. We're all unique. Something different works for everybody. So you don't think that you have to rely on everything.
I'm going to start doing that XYZ movement because so.
Yeah,
oh, cool,
that's it. Oh yeah, well done. It's
good.
good.
Fucking deadlifting like a million kg.
That's it. It's life doesn't work like that. So I think you just got to do you, haven't you?
Yeah. So when we look at you've had a very busy life.
Yes.
Yeah? I like that. You know what I mean? It's something that, that's not a bad way of looking at it, is it? But no, you've experienced a lot, in quite a short space of time as well, if you want to look at it like that. But would you, like, what's your things that you focus on to continue to develop? Like, we're looking at mindset and stuff like that. Like, what are you focused on to continue to move you forward?
I think I've always got, like, small goals set out for myself. Whether I've written them down or not is another matter. Like, but I know in my head what I want. I like that. So if I will always tell myself, okay, this year I wanna win this, or even if it doesn't have to be a competition. Like through work, like I made it my goal this year to pass my sergeant's exam so I can get a promotion. I got it, and I don't know how the hell I managed to fit it in.
So are you striping out then?
So I can go through the promotion process. So
nice.
So I've passed the exam to be able to get the promotion. Nice. But which like it takes a lot of studying to do that and to fit that in around my life, especially the way strong women's taken over me this year. And I'm so pleased to have got that out, because my career still means something to me. It's still your base.
Yeah,
it is still my base. And like people say to me all the time, "Oh, is strong women going to take over? Are you going to leave the police?" And I'm like, I can't imagine, like, if I can balance my life, why would I want to do that? It's like, I don't want to be all in. But yeah, I think I just set small goals for myself, and I keep them to myself, so I don't have to have that added pressure. I might tell Johnny, like, sometimes, or like if it's strongman related, I'll tell Shane, but I don't really. Oh dear. Oh my God, I thought you was a professional.
It's an exam,
Yeah, but I'll just keep those small goals in mind and try and work towards them. And it just, even if it's like in a couple of weeks, I want to have done this.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of keeps me going, I think, more than anything. It's even like sometimes it can be as simple as I've like got a bit lax with like taking the dog out on longer walks. So I'll be like, for the next week I want to make sure that I walk her for this amount of time in the morning, and I'll get this sort of stuff done in the evening, and or we'll go for longer walks on a weekend, and it'll be small steps that that can, and then eventually they'll become a habit and become better, and I'll become better, basically.
Yeah. No, I like it, and I think you seem like one of those people that doesn't look at the bigger picture too much, because that can give you too much pressure.
Yeah.
And that, it probably goes off who you are in your lifestyle. I'm sure it does. You know that's probably going to make you more anxious.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
It's like, I'll do these little bits, and
I don't think I've ever. Everybody's always told me who I'm going to be before I've kind of done it. So like if you take the strong woman for example, like before I'd even started strong woman, my gym owner told me that I had the potential to pull a 300 kilo deadlift, and I hadn't even pulled 200 kilos at that point, but he was adamant that I was going to do it. And I was like, everybody else has been able to see my potential, but if I thought that long term, then I would put so much pressure on myself I wouldn't do it. And I'm very much like that. I'm quite stubborn as a person. I've like, there was a career path that people kept telling me that I should go down when I joined the police, that I should be a part of the TSG group, so they do a lot of public order, like doing all, like going out to like Notting Hill Carnival, you know, where there's a lot of trouble, and they have to do a lot of policing around, and they just do more extreme tactics basically. And they everybody was always like, you should do this, you should do, and when I joined the job, and I was so stubborn, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm basically I'm basically going to be on a unit that does that, but not to their extreme. But I'm like, no, I'm not doing that because you've told me I'm going to do it, and I feel like I'm pressured then into doing it. So I have to put small steps in place to take me where I want to go, and make sure I'm not kind of just doing what people expect me to do.
Yeah. Thing is, that's you pushing yourself out your comfort zone without the extra added pressure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you're controlling your steps.
Yeah, I've always had to be a bit more in control of stuff like that, because I do my anxiety does take over a lot, and it can be really like terrible. Like we was just talking, and I just said like there's been times when I was still trying to kind of deal with the anxiety, and I couldn't even get out of the car once to go and do an arrest inquiry for someone. And I didn't want to I was just getting like heart palpitations, and I was just sitting there like, and I was just so nervous for no particular reason. It wasn't the situation I was in. It was just at that point in my life, I just felt so out of control. And it just got to a point where I was just sat in the car, and we was about to get out the car, and I just said to my mates, like, or my colleagues, I was like, I can't do this. And I had to protect them, because my frame of mind wasn't in a place to be able to do my job well. So, and then that was like a kind of a trigger for me to actually be like, I need to deal with this now, because if it's affecting my life and my job in this way, then something's really wrong. So you've got to go through those sorts of stages. But like now that I've kind of got set in place like these little kind of goals, and really started to just do like, just as I said, the small things, those tiny things, it's taken a lot of pressure off of that bigger picture. Because if somebody had said to me like 2 years ago, oh, you're going to win World's Strongest Woman, like I'd have been like, fuck off. Fuck off. I'm not. Of course I'm not. But then like last year I was fourth. This year I was tied on points for first place. Like it came second, but I was like, I actually can do that. So, but I have to do it in my own time. My brain doesn't let me do it when other people think that I'm going to do it. I have to do it for me, and it's remembering that this is all for me. Everything that I do is for me. It's not for anybody else.
And you've got to feel every step of it rather than jump.
And I'd rather go through those hard times and come out on top and know that I've worked hard and I've achieved something really special than to kind of have it handed to me. And I like in any aspect of life, like I feel like I've always worked hard for whatever I've wanted. So as I said, I didn't want to join the police, but as soon as I knew I was in it, I was all in. Like I wanted to be in it, and I was a really good response police officer. I'd like to think, I don't know if my colleagues would agree, but I like to think I'm quite good at the job that I do now.
Sure you
which
are.
Is like we do manhunts for people that's for serious offenders. So like I have to like track people down and then go and nick them. So it's like it is a really, really fun job to have. And
like a PlayStation game.
Yeah. It's basically I'm basically Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah. God, I remember that.
But without all the money.
And the drama.
Or the massive boobies of his britches.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm sure she's about 100 years old. She's holding herself together.
But anyway, yeah, she. So yeah, I feel like I've always had to work really hard, and in that way, I can be proud of myself for everything that I've done. And I think I do struggle to look back and be proud of myself, because I'm always thinking about the next step.
Yeah.
And I think we're probably all a little bit guilty of that.
That's
quite a common
norm, isn't it? Yeah.
But like I've really, in the last week or so, I've really taken some time out for myself and really look back at it, and I can hand on heart say this is the first time I've ever sat there and been like, I'm really proud of myself. I've achieved something really great this year. Like not just the deadlift, because that's what I always felt like. I was a deadlifter. Like everybody used to think, Lucy's. Yeah, I'm a one-trick pony. But I finally like proved myself as an all-round strong woman, and I am truly proud of everything that I've achieved in strongman, but then I've also managed to progress my career, and I've like progressed my life, and I'm really proud of everything that I've done now. And that's a little bit emotional for me to say, because I can't say that very often.
Like, get that out, because that is something that we've recorded it anyway, so it's something that we'll chop up and send back to you.
I'm gonna need that. Yeah, definitely.
And I mean this, and I want you to feel that, because it's like how proud do you even feel to be able to put that in a sentence? Do you know what I'm saying?
Even just to get the words out, it feels like so. You know, you get that like feeling in your chest. You know, like, and I just think that if you can take anything away from like life or whatever in general, it is just to take that step back and look at what you've done and be like, wow, I've actually done some amazing things. It doesn't have to be in sport, it doesn't have to be in your job, it could be the fact that you've raised your kids, or you've managed to do like I don't know, sometimes it could be as simple as getting out and doing the shopping, just something really small, because sometimes those small things are really big to some people, and you've just got to look back and be like, I've done something really fucking amazing today, and I'm really fucking proud of myself. And
I think that's why as well, like, and I speak about this a lot about to people, because so many people compare themselves to other people without realising they're doing it. You know, I was literally actually on about this yesterday on a Zoom call with one of my lads, and it's like, you don't realise you're doing it, and actually he hit a bit of a moment where I was like, shit, I am doing it then. Because I was like explaining different ways of doing it, and it's it's a little bit like when you put yourself in a position where that's possible to happen, your brain will most likely do it without you realising. And do you know what? Sometimes in our sport, fucking hell, you have to compare yourself to a degree. It's like, am I stronger than this person? Yes or no? You know. But again, you can't compare yourself to people without realising their steps, their life, their surroundings, and everything else. You know, and that's where it gets really tricky, isn't it? So I think. But going back to what you were saying before, that's why I love to look at like 90 days and stuff as a thing, because you know when you think like, and I think this will benefit you to think this way as well, won't it? Because like, you know when you think like, what do you want to do in 5 years? What do you want to do in 3 years? Do you know when I used to do like mentorships and business stuff, and I always used to, especially having ADHD, like I can't plan that shit. It's just overwhelmed. Like, do you know what I mean? I can't even send an email sometimes. Like,
why
the fuck? I'm a failure because I can't think 3 and 5 years. You know what? I don't even know what I'm going to do in a fucking year. And I might think what I know what I'm going to do, then I'm going to change it anyway.
Exactly. Like you can't plan your life that far ahead, because it is just generally it's just added stress and added pressure to your life. You've got to just take that step back, and 90 days is probly a good amount of time. Like that actually works pretty. I might actually implement something you've said. And
well, do you know what? I was going to say, I'm not even shitting you, and I'll give this to you because I love you. Right? I've got worksheets that we do, which is what I teach online, my next, and I've got I'm plugging it now, but I've got a course that's on the 21st. Mentorship, sorry, that's on the 21st of January that we launch it, and I'm actually walking people through. I'm giving them out worksheets and walking them through how to do it, you go, this is you now, this is where you want to be in 90 days. And again, the whole point of 90 days is because, like we just said, achievable. It's not overwhelming. But you know what as well, and you know this, you can fucking achieve a lot in 90 days. If you propel yourself rather than walk.
It's insane.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It is insane.
But then it's about building it backwards. Because again, too many people go, I'm here now, 90 days is there, and then they go, fuck, what do I do in between? But you know, if you walk backwards, it works.
It is. I think that's really actually beneficial. So you can send me your shit.
No, I love it. But no, Luz, like, thanks for today. Like, I really appreciate it.
I've really enjoyed this today.
I think I could tell you have. I like that you have as well.
I got a lot of shit off my chest, I think.
No, good. You know what? I love that about that, and I've enjoyed it as well. Like, I appreciate you coming over and everything. And I've probably challenged you in this already and asked you this, but what message could you give to people?
I think, remember, no matter what you're doing in life, just enjoy it. Don't do it for anybody else. Do it for yourself, and just fucking enjoy yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself, and just go out and have fun, because as soon as you stop having fun, life is pretty fucking shit. So go out and fucking enjoy yourself, and just do everything with passion.
Yeah. And can you add that word on the end that we were talking about earlier?
Which one?
The word that we said right at the start before we started recording.
Go do everything with passion, you cunts.
Banned from YouTube, buzz it.
Yes.
No, I love it. But no, thank you very much for everything. Where can people follow you and see the rest of your journey?
So I mainly post all of my stuff on Instagram, so you can find me at Lucy_strongwoman on Instagram. So I sometimes post on TikTok, but not very often. But it's the same tagline.
But go and follow her and go and get yourself to all the shows that you've got coming up.
Let's fucking win some shit.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Cheers, man.
Boom.